In this video, we're going to talk about how to add integers when they have different signs. So one of our numbers will be positive and one of the numbers will be negative. And just like when we were working with integers with the same sign, we're going to be using counters. And again, our red counters are negative numbers and our yellow counters are positive numbers. There's one really important piece of information we need to talk about before we can actually start combining numbers, and that's called a zero pair. And basically what I need you to keep in mind is that anytime we're talking opposites with numbers, it could be something such as 5 and negative 5, or 12 and negative 12, or 6 and negative 6. So a number and its opposite are a positive and a negative version of the same number. And anytime we combine opposite numbers, they make 0. And this makes sense if I think about money. So if I have $5 in my wallet and I go to the A&P and I spend $5, what would be left in my wallet? Nothing. So I would have $0 left. If I have $12 in my wallet and I give it to my friends, well, then I have $0 in my wallet. If I had $6 and I paid my mom back the $6 that I owed her, I would have $0 left. So those are our zero pairs, and when we're adding integers with different signs, we're going to work with zero pairs a lot. So as we work through these examples, I want you to try to think, what rule can we follow when adding integers that have different signs so that we could start doing these in our heads and not necessarily need to model them with chips or number lines. But to start off, we're going to model with chips. So again, my yellow chips are positive numbers, my red chips are negative numbers, and I'm starting here 4 plus negative 6. So my first number is a positive 4. I'm going to come over and I'm going to grab 4 yellow chips for positive 4. And we're combining that with a negative 6. So I'm going to grab 6 red chips for negative 6. Now, the first thing I want to do is try to find my zero pairs, because what I could do is eliminate any zero pairs that I have. So I see here a yellow and a red. These are both worth 1, so here's a positive 1 and a negative 1. A positive 1 and a negative 1 pair off, they make 0. We can cancel that out. That's 1 0 pair. Here's another one, a positive 1 and a negative 1 combine together to make 0. Positive 1, negative 1 combine together to make 0. Positive 1, negative 1 combine together to make 0. And what I have left over after I get rid of all my zero pairs are 2 remaining red chips. Well, I know each red chip has a value of negative 1, so I have 2 of those, so my answer would be negative 2. So a positive 4 plus a negative 6 equals a negative 2. Let's check out another one. So here I have a negative 3 and a positive 7. So negative 3 is going to be modeled with 3 red chips. Positive 7 is going to be modeled with 7 yellow chips. Four, 5, 6, 7. And again, I'm going to find my zero pairs. So I have a red and a yellow here we can cross out. This red and yellow can cross out. And this red and yellow can cross out. So I'm going to put a box around my remaining chips. I'm left with 4 yellow chips. And I know that yellow means positive. So I'm left with a positive 4. So negative 3 and positive 7 make positive 4. And we're going to do one more example. So here I have 5 plus negative 4. So 5 will be modeled with 5 yellow chips because it's a positive value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 4 will be modeled with 4 red chips because it's a negative 4. And again, the first thing I'm going to do is to find my 0 pairs and cross out what I can. So I have a 0 pair here, 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 and here. And I'm left with one poor lonely chip over here. It's a yellow chip, so I know the value of it is positive, and there's only one chip left, so my answer is 1. So 5 plus negative 4 equals 1. Just like we did when we were adding numbers with the same sign, we can also model numbers with different signs on a number line. So if I take my first example here, 5 plus negative 4, I'm going to start off on the 5, which is all the way up here. And I'm combining that with a negative 4. And negative 4 is going to go 4 places to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll draw my arrow. And I'm looking to see where that arrow landed. So if I grab my highlighter here, I could see 5 plus negative 4 is equal to 1. Let's try one more. Let's do negative 3 plus 6. So negative 3 is all the way back here. I'm going to put a dot. And I'm adding 6 to that. And 6 is positive, so positive moves in the right side direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll draw my arrow so I know which direction I went. And if I grab my highlighter again, I could see that this time I left off at 3. So negative 3 plus 6 equals 3. So that's just a different way that we could see how numbers with different signs are added together. And we're now going to return to what my original question was, which what rule can we follow when adding integers that have different signs? So I want you to think, if I'm doing 5 plus negative 4, how do I get to that 1? And how do I decide if that 1 is a positive or a negative? When we added negative 3 plus 7, how did we arrive at 4? And how did we determine if 4 was positive or negative? What patterns do you guys see forming? 4 plus negative 6, how did we arrive at 2? How did we decide that 2 was negative? One easy way to summarize the rule for adding with different signs find the difference. So we all know that difference means to subtract. So if I had 6 plus negative 8, what's the difference between 6 and 8? Well, that's 2. And then to figure out the sign, I'm keeping the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. Well, the absolute value of 6 is 6. The absolute value of negative 8 is 8. So 8 has the larger absolute value. That has a negative sign. My answer would be negative. I'd like you to pause the video for a moment, try out these 4 problems, and when you're ready, push play. Okay, so for number 1, 4 plus negative 9, we should have gotten negative 5. The difference between 4 and 9 is 5. 9 has a larger absolute value. 9 is negative, so my answer is negative. 7 plus negative 2, the difference between 7 and 2 is 5. 7 has a larger absolute value. It's positive, so the answer is positive. Number 3, 5 plus negative 10. The difference between 5 and 10 is 5. 10 has the larger absolute value and it's negative, so my answer is negative. And the last one, 8 plus negative 3. The difference between 8 and 3 is 5. 8 has the larger absolute value. 8 is positive, so my answer is positive. Good job.